In the Dark, 2019. A young, blind woman tries to solve her friend's murder. Plot: the one that got away. Murphy offers to watch clothes so Dean can go on a date. But things get a little crazy after she does the one thing he asks her not to do. Plot: Jessica Rabbit. Murphy finally starts opening up to Max. Meanwhile, Murphy, Max and Darnell step up to help Jess. Plot: deal or no deal. With Jess focusing all of her attention on Vanessa, Murphy begins to feel neglected. To make matters worse, tensions begin to rise between her and Max. Plot: bait and switch. Murphy and Jess are both going through similar situations, but they are handling things very differently. Meanwhile, Felix and Jess share a beautiful moment together. Voiceover off.
When you're blind and watching movies, what will you find? A blind superhero whose superpowers are acting like he's not blind. A sighted actor over dramatically touching people's faces. Or maybe the whole joke is that they're bumping into different places. A spectacular, macular generation. From tunnel vision to your television. And do they offer this movie with audio descriptions? They're movie buffs who know their stuff. You'll be thoroughly entertained. Join Sky and Melissa throughout film history and Citizen White Kane.
Hello.
Hi.
And welcome to Citizen White Cane, the podcast that will once and for all solve the mystery of who killed Tyson, or if that's too hard, investigate the state of blind representation in television and film. My name is Sky McLeod.
I'm Melissa Buckner.
And we today are returning back to the CW TV series In the Dark to do 4 episodes this time. It was a hearty watch.
Yeah, big old chunk.
Yeah. And since it's been a little bit of time since we have done the In the Dark episode, we thought it'd be good to start with a little bit of a recap or previously and go over some of the plot points and also the different characters, since it's a pretty hefty cast of characters, I feel like.
Yeah. But I was still very happy to actually come back and hang out with all these guys. They're just really well, I don't know about characters, but the actors are really likable and I enjoy watching them.
Yeah, some of the characters are likable, not all of them.
Some of the characters are likable, yeah. No, definitely not all of them. Some of the characters I find myself liking a whole lot more than when we started, which is really cool.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
It is, yeah, definitely. We will definitely have to talk about all of that in this episode. But yeah, I thought what we could do is we could go back and forth for each character, just do a 5-word summary of the character. We're going to have to get creative, but
yeah.
Do you want to go first or second?
I'll go first. Why not?
Okay, so guess who you get? You get Murphy.
I thought you were going to give me Murphy. Okay, let's see. Okay, Murphy in 5 words.
Yes.
Let's see.
Played by Perry Madfield.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yep. Doesn't like to ask for help. I already did it wrong, so it's 6 words. Doesn't like to ask for help.
Well, she was the main character, so that's fair. And then I'm sorry that you picked first, because now I get to do Jess, our favorite character. Played by Brooke Markham. Sure, something like that. Jess, Saint to Murphy, and everyone.
Saint Jess.
Yes, Saint Jess, classic. Now you get Felix, played by Morgan Krantz.
Awesome. Okay. Super annoying, really rich, helpful.
Ooh, I like that. Okay, then I've got Max, played by Casey Diedrich. Asshole, on and off boyfriend. In parentheses, to Murphy. And you get Dean, played by Rich Sommer.
Oh, cool. Let's see. Sweet Officer Dean. Shit.
Love it. I love it. And I'm sorry because I'm getting all the good ones because now I get to do
right.
Chloe, played by Callie Walton. Blind girl played by... No, I ran out of words. Blind. Instead of blind actor. So... but she's great, Chloe. Okay, you get Tyson, played by Thamela Pomlawana. I'm sure I butchered that, but yes, Tyson.
Let's see. Dearly departed, dependable, definitely dead.
Love it. I love that. Okay. The next is Darnell, played by Keston John. Okay. Tyson, cousin, possibly evil. Nice. Sometimes.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I'm sure we'll get into we'll get more into Darnell when we talk about these episodes. But yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And then we have Nia, played by Nikki Michaux. Looks French. That's my take on her.
Oh, right, Nia. Yeah. Superimposing prison gang leader.
No, that's perfect. That was very informative too. Okay, next we have Wesley, played by Sammy Azero. Killed Tyson? Question mark? Maybe.
Perfect.
The question mark was 2 words. So, next you have Jules, played by Seiken Sengplo.
Oh, nice. Let's see. In love with wrong person.
Ooh, that's very mysterious. Also a cop, just to...
You're right.
Then next we have Sarah, who I also forgot the name, that this was the name of the character, played by Anna Ayoro. Ayora. Did you remember that this character named Sarah? I think they just don't say it. Or Ben. I think it's Ben Sarah Benson. Though she was listed as Sarah. I think, okay, so I'm really hoping I have the right person because I really was expecting to recognize the name. But narcotics officer, really dick. Do not like her. She's horrible.
Yeah, that definitely sums up her character so far.
Yeah. Then next you get Chelsea, played by Lindsay Broad.
Ooh. Break up with Dean already.
That's good. And then we have Vanessa, played by Humberly Gonzalez. I'm gonna say Jess girlfriend, sort of. Is that 2 words or 1? I'll just say sort of gaslighting.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I mean, basically gaslighting, but next we have Joy, played by Kathleen York.
Wants to understand her daughter.
Oh, that's Murphy's mom.
Murphy's mom.
Hank, played by Derek Webster, is in these episodes at least smokes weed. Cool dad, Murphy's dad. Cool Murphy's dad, I guess.
Very cool.
And then the last one, you get to round us off with Pretzel, played by Levi.
Oh, he's such a good boy.
That's perfect. There you go. I don't know if that was helpful at all to people who don't remember the show, but we'll try to.
It was fun to
It was
do.
still fun. Yeah. I'm sure we will yeah, we'll explain things as we go along. We have 4 episodes, so we've got a lot of ground to cover. We'll hopefully try to make this a bit tight. Maybe we'll try not to get into every little plot point, but focus in on the more important ones. Yeah, do you have a place you want to start? It's always so hard because there's so much that happens in these like 40-minute episodes.
Oh yeah, no, there's loads of different things. I mean, one of the hugest revelations, honestly, for me in these episodes. I mean, and there were tons of huge revelations, but I guess the one that made me smile the most was Felix.
Yeah, Felix as a character who's like, when we introduce him, he's very like just kind of a dick and a really weird kind of like a dork, like somewhere between a dork and an asshole.
a lovable dick.
Yeah, and we kind of like see him in these few episodes sort of rise to, I don't know, a more empathetic place in a lot of ways. Yeah,
empathetic is the best way to describe it, because we realize that him and Hank have a scene together, and we realize that Guiding Hope is bankrupt, basically.
Right.
They have no money to keep it going, and Felix is like, cool, I'll just buy it. I'll just buy it, and everyone is like,
because we know he's rich before this episode,
right, which I had forgotten about, and then it clicked in, and I was like, oh yeah, he's filthy rich. So we find out, so he decides to buy Guiding Hope, and Hank is all for it, considering they have a very cute scene of them getting stoned, and he's bankrupt, right? And Felix loves Guiding Hope. He adores Guiding Hope, and he wants to see it keep going, which is really awesome. And I don't feel like it's necessarily for selfish reasons.
Well, that's, I think, I mean, they definitely set it up as you're like, should we trust, like he's just going to be kind of an asshole about it. But then we of course see that he is actually like really does truly love it, and is like, he's like berating them about cost saving things, like how the trash is like $400 to pick up the trash. And so he's like, you could just bring it to the dump yourself. And then we see him on the weekends like bringing all the trash to the dump.
Like he's willing to, he's not willing to just fire Murphy. He's willing to try and get her to work. He's willing to try and change the situation. I don't think it's ever going to work. I don't just don't. But he's trying.
I mean, it's kind of, and you see that he's not like, instead of being like the, asshole boss or like the incompetent boss, you see that he's like able to strike the kind of like taking it seriously while also not taking it out on people that it's not working. But then at the same time, Murphy is a very bad employee, so it's a hard it's because at some point he's like, I'll fire you if you don't stop doing this, and she's like, okay, whatever, I don't care. Which I'm just like, why does she not care? Like, does she really think that? No, I mean, I guess like the idea is no one will fire her, but in my head I'm like, someone could. I mean, like, they're really mad at her.
Sure.
I could see her getting fired. But
obviously she won't. But
well, she might. Yeah. I could see her getting fired, but then like, I could see her getting fired just how TV works for like something that's actually not like her, like she's actually misunderstood and she did something wrong, or like she did something that looked wrong, but it was actually to like really do something noble or whatever, and then she gets fired for that. That's like classic TV, like bait and switch of like, but I mean, she could always get fired and then like get rehired. I feel like that's within the cards of something that could happen. But for now, she still works at Guiding Hope, despite it still being completely unclear even what she does there. Like, did she do anything? Like, what did she do?
Nothing. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's very it's very unclear what her purpose there is. But she mostly, her purpose in the TV show is to find out who killed Tyson. And we, in the Tyson murder saga, we have some more information. First of all, that 2 people probably killed Tyson. At least that's the assumption. One of them being Wesley, they think, who they get this from like bullet marks, which like I guess is like, yeah, that could be forensic science.
Well,
I don't think that's a good I think that's like scientifically bad forensic science, but whatever.
Well, it's not just bullet marks. It's her voice, Murphy recognizing the voice too.
Right. Well, she recognizes, and this part I always get confused by, because she didn't hear who killed Tyson, though. She just assumes that given the narrative of what happened, she assumes that Tyson was killed because of the dynamics of like, which I still can't even fully keep track of, because Tyson was like very like, you know, just kind of like pocket weed dealing, not super, you know, like he was not a high up in the enterprise person, but he was involved with like dealing drugs, and then Wesley was like, was it that he thought that like Tyson was the informant? What, like, what? I got confused on even what exactly what happened with Wesley and the like, and him like the idea of him shooting Tyson. Did you catch that?
Well, she connects it because we also learned that Tyson might have been double dipping as far as in the deal.
Oh, right,
the world of drug dealing.
Right, because that was from last episode. Yeah,
right, because he had a side job.
Right, and so that's why we think that Wesley was the one who killed Tyson.
Yeah,
right.
And then we find out that Wesley is also connected to Darnell.
Right, because they're working together, which I guess we knew once, like, because Darnell and Tyson theoretically would be working with each other because they're related. So, but then Tyson was like the one who was double dipping. So then theoretically Wesley was the one who killed Tyson.
Right.
And like then kidnaps, in the episodes we watch, kidnaps Murphy and Chloe in a very dramatic episode. Because Chloe just incidentally, but Murphy because she identified Wesley's voice as the person who probably killed Tyson. Basically,
and I mean, kind of props to Wesley for how he tried to do it, because Chloe and Murphy is assigned to babysit Chloe by Dean, and Dean and Chloe are Dean and Murphy are kind of on the outs because Dean is dating Chelsea, the bartender, who Murphy had a friendship with, and now it's just kind of weird. Yeah. And their whole relationship is weird, and Dean is like, okay, don't do, just hang out and just don't do anything. And they're like, okay, whatever. And of course, they end up talking about boys, and Chloe wants to talk to Billy, this boy that she has a crush on, and Murphy's like, okay, well, we can go to the mall, I guess. First she's apprehensive, but
and Chloe convinces her by saying, if you don't take me to the mall, I will die without having ever kissed someone. And then Murphy's like, wow, you're so manipulative. And I'm like, really? That worked on you, Murphy? That seems like that should not have worked on any sensible adult. That is not. I would have just, if the kid said that to me, I would have just been like, come on, you're definitely going to get kissed. This is not your last opportunity to do that. But but anyway, apparently Murphy was very easily swayed by very dramatic like teenager talk. But yeah, yeah, exactly.
Angst.
But yeah, so that anyway, you can keep on the summary of what happens when they go to the mall. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So we do get this really cute scene of Chloe and Murphy at the mall, and I thought a lot about our conversation about how it's nice to see a character with a blind mentor. Even though Murphy is completely messed up, she's still someone that Chloe can relate to.
Well, she's also like, Murphy is like her best self with Chloe, other than being swayed by the dumb
right
line about kissing. But
the dumb, it was indeed the dumb. Yeah, it's just really nice seeing them interact, and it made me happy, and they got cute outfits. And Chloe talks to Billy,
Well, and
which
it's
is
so
really,
sweet because
which is really cool.
it could have like they definitely could have brought it in like a more like way of like it being bad, but like instead we
Right.
have Billy who's like instead of being like the super cute kid or whatever that's like everyone likes and doesn't even know she exists, like we see that he's just a sweet he's a sweet kid that like is not doesn't seem like he would because I don't know, you just have this plot where you have like the teenager that's like, oh, everyone has a crush on them, and then they really don't know that that the character exists, and you see that he's like, no, they seem like they are like of a similar like awkwardness and like and it's just a very cute scene where the two of them, you could tell they both like each other, and it's very sweet, and I like that a lot. Yeah, that's the direction they went in instead of making it like a weird, embarrassing thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah,
No,
so then we have this scene. It's very, very cute, and then they go to get their lift, and that's when they're kidnapped. Which is, I was so mad about
oh,
this.
I know. So, so yeah, so they're leaving the mall and they request an Uber like you do, or a Lyft or whatever like you do. And this car pulls up and obviously, backtrack real quick. We find out that Wesley got out of jail because
Right.
somebody posted his bail.
Yeah.
Darnell posted his bail. So Wesley is out of jail and obviously coming for Murphy because, TV. So instead of getting in their Uber that they had originally called, he pulls up to the curb and is just like, Murphy. And I guess she didn't hear him because
Yeah.
Chloe got in first or something.
This
because
bothered me.
That was what I was hemming and hawing about. I was like, wait a minute, we just spent a half an hour of this episode
Talking about how she could recognize his voice from
his
anywhere.
voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
that bothered me so much too.
I'm assuming Chloe heard him and Murphy didn't, or something.
Or
I don't
think
know.
maybe what happened was because he sounded like he was putting on a voice, but
he could have been trying to disguise his voice.
but
yeah.
it's still like, come on, guys, like that's kind of a plot hole right there. But anyway,
Right, but they get in the car and they are Murphy thinks she's going home, and then obviously they discovered it's not our driver, because the real driver called Murphy on the phone and was looking for her,
right, which is the nightmare of like every blind person. It's just it was so awful.
God.
I hated
this is exactly why my parents were really apprehensive when I started using Lyft. They were just like, someone's gonna kidnap you, and I'm like,
what?
No.
Yeah. That's a stupid thing to worry about.
There's like
but
a 1% chance of that actually.
I mean,
happening.
1% is way too
Sure.
high. It's a
Sure.
0.00001%. I mean, like I don't even know if that's ever happened, that like a person was kidnapped, a blind person was kidnapped from a lift. I don't think that's ever happened.
I'm honestly just pulling numbers out of my ass at this point. But yes, so they are Wesley's gonna take them somewhere and shoot them, basically, and he almost succeeds, but Murphy, in all her resourcefulness, grabs lipstick and writes a message on the car window. Call 911. Right. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. It was just like, I was trying to think if it would have, if, I don't know how believable that is. Like, I don't know. But yeah, you keep going though.
Well, I mean, yeah, you don't know how believable that is, but then we get a flashback to like back that up. And it's her and Tyson, and he's showing her how to write.
Right. Well, why?
In a birthday card.
Not that she would be able to write that, but just like that would save them, because what happens is like the sirens are like coming for them, and so Wesley, instead of shooting them, hears the sirens and has like a loaded gun, I think, but just like gets back in the car because he's like
off.
Right, which you're like, okay, that seems a little silly to like.
Well, I mean. Yes, he could have murdered them and then gotten in a high-speed chase with the police and then gone to jail for murder.
Right.
So I'm assuming he preferred to just, bag it and just go, rather than get caught for murder, because technically he was
Well, he
out
was
on bail.
he was
So,
already on trial for murder, which also is
true.
just like,
Yeah.
what? I mean, because I was trying to think, I was like, okay, if he kills Murphy, then they don't have their witness, but then he is also implicated in a different murder, so there could still be a
Right.
case for him to have killed Murphy and Chloe. Like, that's not,
Yep.
it's not like he would then, like, solve the problem of them, like, investigating a case, because they would be like, weird that the main witness in this trial was just randomly murdered while you were just out on bail, and like you're tied to this person, so because I'm sure there would be something tying Murphy there. It just seems like to be kind of silly, but whatever. He didn't think that, I guess. So
No. So he speeds off, and we find out that Jess, Darnell, and Max are also tailing Murphy.
right, because of course we have the classic Murphy's phone is a GPS, so could be tracked anywhere.
Like, what? Yeah.
Everyone's always tracking her.
Right. Yeah, but they're tracking her, and before they find Murphy and Chloe, they find Wesley.
Right. So
basically.
they like basically are they hit him and he's goes unconscious. They put him in the trunk. It's a whole thing, and then he eventually gets hit by a car. But
he gets out of the trunk, gets hit by a car, and Jess is the one who witnesses it, and the others are trying to get her to leave, and she doesn't. And of course, the driver of the truck sees Jess and can tell that the police and the sketch artist what she looks like. So now they're like, oh my God, Jess is associated with all of this.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my God, Jess is associated with all this. No, not beautiful, sweet Saint Jess. No.
I was just like, for me, I was like, she was just seen near a car crash. I mean, like, it doesn't super. I mean, maybe she could be a witness to something, but it doesn't tie her to the crime that much. Like,
well, but they were going to. I don't know what they were going to do with him, but they put him in the trunk of her car. So,
right.
You know,
well, so she is freaking. Well, they had at one point so that his DNA was in the trunk of the car, and that's why it also would have tied her to like being involved more heavily. So she has to like come in and make a statement when the police artist draws her. That's the point when they have her coming in for a statement, because she is like having even before that having a panic attack, and that's when we have her and her girlfriend, who like the girlfriend is just so terrible.
I know. Oh my God.
It's like truly gaslighting her. She's like, you have to think positively, and then like when the police like need her to come in for questioning, it's like, well, you manifested that because you weren't thinking positively about this whole car crash thing.
I'm
just like fuck you.
Put all of your hippie bullshit away for just like 5 seconds.
And then they have a fight about her being bi. And then, like, that's the thing that matters? Where I'm like, no, you're like, the gaslighting is way more, like, the whole thing about her being bi is confusing to me. I don't fully understand that whole thing. Because she's, like, because Jess is, like, just lesbian and not bi. And then her girlfriend's bi. But then it's, like, this idea that it's a phase, which is, like, also, like, kind of... I mean, I'm sure that that's like something that people worry about, but also on top of that kind of sucks for people who are bi, like that they have to be like, I don't know, judged in that way, that this is a phase. Is like, for me, it just seems more complicated than like, I don't know, just like, just the way that's dealt with is weird. I feel like sometimes there's a lot of bi erasure in TV, so it kind of bothers me. But like, so which I mean, I guess is like bi erasure, and that someone couldn't just be bi. Like, why couldn't the girlfriend just be bi? Why does she have to be either having a phase or like is just a lesbian and had dated men before or whatever? I don't know, whatever. But that becomes the thing that Murphy is like, fuck Vanessa for like saying that for like, you know, harping on the like it's just a phase thing that you're worried about or something. I don't even know. I don't know. What do you think about all this?
Well, I was mostly just devastated for Jess. I mean, I don't think Vanessa was like, you know, just playing her on, and I think she really did love her, does love her still in a little in a way, but I don't know if she's just ready for Jess yet, because like Jess wants a committed relationship.
Yeah, well, Vanessa, I
A-
don't
a
think it's that
healthy-
she doesn't want to commit a relationship. She's just like a shitty. She's just a lame person. Like she believes in manifesting. Like that's a red flag of just like you don't want to be dating that person. Like, and she's like hashtagging things on, and she's like, oh, instead of they're having like this nice moment, she's like, we should do a boomerang, and then she's like, I don't know. I was just like, she's kind of vapid. Like Jess is a like,
sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, this is it's written and it's framed in such a way. This is what the TV wants us to see. So I don't think doing those things necessarily makes her a bad person. I just think that Jess is finally realizing that we don't fit. Like we can't sustain this for the long term.
Yeah, I mean,
she's not the one. I think after the disastrous 7-month anniversary party, and I know we're like skipping into different episodes here, but I think after right, yeah, but after the disastrous anniversary party, which Felix is pretty much the hero of, he comforts her and they talk about the relationship, and he's just like, well, yeah, but Vanessa this is just her way of telling you that she might not be the one.
Right, well, because Jess cheats on Vanessa when they've been fighting, and then she throws the party to like cover up the cheating, basically not like fully cover it up, but like 'cause she feels guilty basically, and then she's just like, she just blurts it out during the party, and then they break up basically. Is what happens.
I think this is because of the whole police interrogation thing and the fact that Jess, practiced and had to straight up lie. Jess doesn't like to lie. That's just not who she is. And it was just eating her up inside, because she could have had everything could have been fine. Vanessa never would have had to know that Jess lapsed one night and took a girl home. Like,
wait, but you think she shouldn't have told her?
No, I don't think she shouldn't have told her. I think she should have told her, because that's not how you build. You can't build a relationship
on
a
lie. That's definitely not.
I don't necessarily think Jess is like a cheating slut. Like I don't think. Because I don't hate Jess.
Well, also, I think Jess
made a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, also Vanessa, like, fucking, I don't know. I mean, like, the level of just, like, seeing someone in pain who's struggling and then watching that something bad happen to them and saying that it's their fault because they were in pain before, that's, like, a kind of thing that's, like, not to the point of, like, oh, you just, like, did something mean once. It's like, no, that is, like, just such an abusive stance to take that it seems like that can't just be a one-off. Like, that is so abusive to me. That is just, like, a complete deal breaker. Like, that Jess definitely deserves someone better than that, because that's like not okay. That's just so not okay.
No, absolutely. I'm so glad to see them move on, or to see this relationship dissolve,
because Vanessa is not really like that much of a character. Like, she wasn't a very well developed character before this, and so we also, like, this is one of the main, like, we know that she's dated men and women. That's the big character identity of hers for some reason, but then, like, we really didn't have, like, she's kind of into new agey stuff is the other thing, which I guess, like, manifesting is, like, part of that. So I guess that was kind of like, this is her character thing. But yeah.
And if Jess really, really wanted to and felt deep down inside her that this relationship was important and that they were going to go all the way, she probably wouldn't have cheated on her with the girl at the bar.
Right. Well, I think that's like, I mean, when she did cheat, I was like, that's fine, because Vanessa's being a real fucking asshole about everything. So I don't she doesn't really deserve your faithfulness. Yeah,
you're in a committed relationship, but you're not married. So whatever. I mean, not that people who are married don't cheat, because that's not, they absolutely do. But yeah, I didn't feel horrible. Actually, I was kind of like, yeah, Jess, get some. Yeah,
because I was like, this could be a way of, like, ending the relationship with Vanessa, because I was just like, I want you to be done with her. Like, I'm just, that's unsalvageable to me. Right. But this show is, the love interests are pretty problematic. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, Felix, though, I gotta say, MVP of this whole entire arc. Like, he goes home, she goes home, he brings her food because he sends her home from work because she's
Yes.
just absolutely miserable.
Yeah.
And then he brings her food and they have a really heartfelt conversation. And I was just kind of like, what, where's this going to go? Like they've had a conversation about, them being single or Felix being single and Jess not wanting to be single. And I'm just like, oh no, please don't put these two together. That's totally not going to work. I don't want to, no. And of course, they end up like kissing and everything. And I'm like, oh my God, is this going to, what's happening here? What's happening? But luckily, Jess, you get down to the nitty gritty and Jess is like, well, I'm real gay.
Because Felix pulls down his pants and then she's like, oh, I'm gay. Then she's like laughing and crying, which was, I thought that was a really funny scene.
Yeah. And Felix is really sweet and he's like, it's fine. It's okay.
He's like, yeah, no,
it's
this makes sense.
Yeah. And they just like sit on the couch together and eat food. And I'm just like, it's so great. I love their friendship. It makes me so happy.
Yeah. Oh, it's a very sweet
cool
scene. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We got them out of the way.
Yes.
Now we get to talk about the two most fucked up relationships in the entire show. That being Murphy and Max and Jules and Darnell.
Yeah. I mean, Murphy and Max being the number one fucked up relationship. Jules and Darnell is just like, I don't even know, like shrug for the most part. I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck's happening with this.
I kind of sort of, it keeps catching me off guard every single episode. I'm like, oh yeah, they're together, right?
Because Jules Jules is the comp and Darnell is the drug dealer, so they shouldn't be in a relationship, but they are. So that's really, oh my gosh. And Darnell is like about to be put in jail forever for like dealing drugs, because welcome to America. And, he's also being investigated for Tyson's murder, and so Jules, like last minute, comes to like where Darnell is. They cannot. It is not okay if anyone knows they're in a relationship, so they cannot in public be like. It obviously in a relationship, and the elevator is being monitored by the drug task force, so they cannot have a real communication. So what Jules does is she arrests him for the murder of Tyson, and because that was the only thing she could think of. Which I mean, I don't know. I kind of found that kind of fun. That was it. That was cute.
That was a pretty badass move.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because it was like, what is she gonna do?
What can she do?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Do the one thing that she can do.
Because they knew that he is not. They don't have enough stuff to like really get him on Tyson's murder, but they're investigating him. So they're like, so it is kind of. It was a smart move to be like, oh, if I, do this now, he's gonna be let out on bail really quickly. But then, of course, that plan can't actually work. So.
No, because I mean, jumping ahead, they find Tyson's actual car, and they find basically Darnell's DNA all over the car. So,
which they're cousins, so it's not that
so
weird.
now we're like, did he kill him? Because Jules keeps flip flopping back and forth. Because she has to be on Darnell's side because they're in a relationship, but then she has to be on Dean's side because they're solving the case together.
Well, and I think she definitely does not think he kills Tyson at all. I don't think she ever has, but she just has to pretend like she does when she's the cop. And then when they're in the relationship, she's like, hey, you got to do this to like not get caught. But she also gets like reprimanded for like arresting him because she was not supposed to do that. So she's like under discipline for doing that.
But she ruined the narcotics bust. And big, huge reveal. Max is the criminal informant.
Yeah, fuck Max.
So I was wondering if any of this, like, by the way, Max launders money, if any of this was going to go anywhere. Because I'm just like, oh, by the way, Max launders money. That's cool.
Right. Well, that's kind of how we get introduced to him, though. Like, we know that the whole time, though.
I know, but we don't know that he's a criminal informant the whole time.
Right. This is what we find out, because they think Tyson's a criminal informant, and then we get Felix gets to reveal that he went to Harvard law school.
Which was so cute. Oh, my God. Felix, MVP, just winning.
Winning. And he's like, you have have to, if they're underage, then you have to list them as underage. And since Tyson would have been 16 at I think he was 16 when he was murdered, but like he would have been under 18, so they would have had to mark that, which means that whoever is the informant is an adult. And did you, after that scene, be like, oh, so Max is the informant? Because that's exactly what I did.
I wish I could put dots together better, because I was just kind of like, oh wow, I wonder who that could be.
Yeah,
like,
no, I was like, it's Max.
You mean the guy who's been laundering money since, episode 1?
Well, because it just had to be him, because it wasn't going to be Wesley, especially because didn't we know that, like, they were still informing at that point? Or I don't remember. No, because we couldn't have, because then why would they think Tyson was the one?
Right.
But I was just like, it has to be, because first of all, it has to be a character we know. It can't be Darnell. That wouldn't really make sense. Like, and I was just like, really, Max is the only person that would make sense. But I did like literally say it out loud, and then we see Max. We see like his shadow walking up to the car, and then it's Max. And I was like, yep, saw that coming.
Yep. I mean, and Murphy and Max try. They try to have a quote unquote normal relationship. When Murphy thinks the case is solved, because we were all convinced it was Wesley. Max and Murphy go to the furniture shop and they pick out a padded coffee table so that she doesn't ram herself into his coffee table all the time.
Like,
It's
cute.
That's,
IKEA
that was
scenes,
cute.
except for they're not in IKEA.
Cute.
Yeah.
No, they're in but it was really cute, and maybe they could have made it work, but I don't know. They're both really dysfunctional, and I don't know, and I don't think it would be a really healthy relationship.
It is truly an unhealthy relationship. It is a bad relationship. First of all, Max is like an asshole, and she's like Murphy is self-destructive, but Max is like actually like just a shitty person, like that shouldn't be in a relationship because they're shitty and are not like emotionally ready for a relationship, because he's just like so mean and like and just unnecessary. Like, first of all, he like does the like really gross stalking movie thing where he like fucking goes outside her window and does all this like really gross stuff to like get her to date him. And like at one point Murphy is like, after they've broken up, she's like, you were the one who forced me to date you. And I was like, yeah, say it, Murphy, that actually is true. And he was like, you don't believe that? And she was like, yeah, I guess I don't believe that. I was like, no, it's true. Like, he did force you to be in a relationship. Like, you didn't want to. And he was so aggressive about it. And like eventually she just kind of caves, and she's constantly like trying to like distance, and he's always like really weird and manipulative to get her back, and not in like a way of like, I care about you and I want to be in a relationship with you, so I'm gonna just be here for you. But he's like just angry all the time at her for like pushing him away. But then also sometimes she's pushing him away because he like truly did something shitty, and like it isn't like you're like, yeah, I understand why she's mad at him. He did something really shitty. But they break up basically because she blames him. She finds out he's the informant, blames him for Tyson's murder. Like, even though he wasn't the one who actually killed Tyson, she's like, if the informant is the reason why Tyson is dead, and so you killed Tyson. And so, which I'm like, of all the things to like really hate him on, that's just one of many. I mean, also the fact that he was ready to let Darnell like go in jail for the rest of his life, like to save his own ass. I was like, yeah, it's not a good position to be in. I understand that it's like, but it also was like, yeah, fucking Max, what a dick.
I mean, Darnell's not the greatest person in the world, but honestly,
he doesn't deserve that.
No, and him and Jules' relationship is actually kind of nice if they weren't in this really weird situation together.
Yeah, it's
they
bizarre.
really love each other.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like, yeah, Max is just such a dick. I just don't. And like, yeah, no, I am much more sympathetic to Darnell, honestly. I mean, like, he's like prickly, but he's also like kind of, I don't know, he's being unfairly persecuted.
Nice.
Like, yeah, he's trying his best, and he's dealing drugs is not, I don't think should definitely not warrant going to jail for the rest of your life. That's so fucked up to me. Like, that's
Right, because I mean, we don't know. I mean, drug dealers in general, like, we don't know their life circumstances. I don't think people wake up one day and then they're just like, I'm gonna deal some drugs.
Well, if we just made it, if we decriminalized it, then there wouldn't really be like, I don't know. Yeah, it makes me so mad. It's just like slavery. It's just a way of making sure yourself slavery. It's completely fucked up.
It's absolutely. is stupid and ridiculous. Yeah.
So I don't have any sympathy for the cops trying to put him away for dealing drugs. Like, if he murdered his cousin, which I don't think he did, but if he did that, then I still believe in prison. But I'm like, okay, at least there's like, that means he's probably at least a bad person. Like, I can just dislike him if he's the one who killed Tyson. I don't think he is, though. So I do not think that dealing drugs is like, something that should be like punished in that way. Like, it's unfair to him. And, obviously society in general, it's part of systemic issues in this country. But mostly Darnell, he's just like, he's a dick sometimes. And he didn't trust Murphy at first, but like kind of nobody did, it seems like. And Murphy also doesn't trust anyone. So, I mean, he didn't really know her, and he has reason to be suspicious of people because of like stuff going on in his life, and he just like, his cousin just died. But I don't know. He doesn't bother me that much. Max makes me I hate Max a lot more than I think Darnell's fine.
Well, then I'm sure you absolutely loved the last episode in this little batch of episodes. I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, so Max tries to skip town.
Yeah, because an assassin is after him because Nia, the boss, finds out that he is the informant. So now he is basically wanted to be dead. Like, they want him dead. So he's like actually running away for his life. But
yes, and the cops want him because he didn't fulfill the deal.
Right. So he's just one. Yeah.
Right. The deal was like, if you do this, you'll get off, and you can be not, an informant anymore.
Right.
But he gets scared and doesn't want to do it. So so he and Murphy basically run off in his food truck van.
Well, they don't run off together. She kidnaps her.
Yeah, she comes back to give him his baggie of stuff.
Right, because they broke up.
Right, and then the assassin comes after them. So they have to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, he still kidnaps her, like, because he thinks that if she left... First of all, okay, so his theory is that if she left at that time from the truck, that they would be after her as well, and they would try to kill her. Which, why? Like, just because she was in the truck? They want to kill him. Why do they think they would want... Why does he think they would want to kill Murphy when these people are obviously just trying to kill him? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
I mean, this is his weird ass way of like trying to protect her, or,
I mean, I think that's what he says he's doing, but it seems completely, my confusion is what makes him believe that Murphy, like, leaving at that point would put her in danger. Whereas he thinks that the best way to keep her safe is to be on the run with her and drive her, a blind person, into the woods to then, like, be running away from an assassin for days. Like, how is that the safest thing other than, like, you're in a street that you know very well. You could just leave, and these assassins are coming after me, so they're going to come after me. They're not going to be, they don't care about you. They are focused on killing me. So why would they care about this blind chick who just left my truck when I'm the one still in the truck? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me why he thought that.
I mean, right. Who knows? Maybe the assassin knew about Murphy. I don't know how, but maybe.
Yeah. But it seems, I don't know, it just seems so shitty to me. And then, so he just, like, truly kidnaps her, and she is very upset. She does not want to, like, she just wants to leave and doesn't want to be around him, which is totally fair, like, absolutely reasonable. And he throws both of their phones out the car so that no one will track her, so Jess can't find her. And he makes Murphy tell Jess everything's okay, which, like, also, if Jess can track her phone, she could always just, like, look at the tracker, which she might in the next episode, and, like, see that, like, that Murphy's phone is dead, like, and worry, I would imagine. So she probably at some point will realize that Murphy is truly in trouble. But, like, they throw the phones out of the window, and so now Murphy has no phone, and the two of them just drive into the middle of the woods and then are still on the run because the assassin, like, finds him there, like, is, like, truly trailing him. So they then have to, like, walk into the woods and then take a boat and then walk more and then stay at a cabin. But then the cabin is, like, the assassin finds the cabin, so then they have to keep finding different places to hide. Oh my god. And Murphy the whole time is like, I hate you. I broke up with you. I hate that we have to
Right.
do this. I just want to leave. I don't want to be around you. And like, poor fucking Murphy, not only is she around like her abusive ex that she doesn't want to be around anymore, like she also is running for her life for something
Yes.
she did not do, for something that actually she's mad at. Like the reason why he's running for his life is like the thing that she's so mad at him about. Like that's what put him in danger, was the thing that she already broke up with him because of. So it's like the most unfair thing to her. But then, you know, he's a hero in the end because Max tells her to go back home somehow. Because now apparently the assassin isn't looking for Murphy for some reason now. Oh my god.
Right. But then, of course, all of this is happening. And then they just decide to, do it in the abandoned cabin.
Yeah. I mean, God, I just hate Max so much. Because he's such a dick.
Right. I mean, but it's interesting because, like, he didn't set this up so that they could get back together. Like, he didn't, because, I mean, when, like, and he's, granted, I hate everything he's doing, but he's not trying to, like, for the most part, he's not trying to, like, get physical with her,
Well, he wants them, like, he's wearing her down because she's like, I broke up with you, I don't want to be dating you anymore. And he's like,
Right.
You do want to date me, which is, like, really shitty.
Yes. No, yeah, that is absolutely shitty. And I don't know. I'm not trying to say like it's Murphy's fault. Like it's all her fault that she, decided to go back and like sleep with him or whatever. But I mean, they're in the cabin together and he's taking a shower and she just gets real turned on, I guess. And they just end up sleeping together.
Yeah, which is also, like, I don't know, that still doesn't feel like anything to me. It still just feels like part of this, like, dysfunctional abusive relationship. Like, that doesn't seem out of the ordinary to me for, like, an abuser trying to, like, get back someone. I don't know. It seems so fucked up to me. And, like, that he could at any time be like, I am, just doing my best. I'm like, no, you're like aggressively an asshole and you like care about no one but yourself and you're just like Murphy is self-destructive, but like not in this, like Max is like specifically harming people around him. Like, and then he is like being a fucking like, oh, why do you hate me? Why don't you like me? It's like, because you're a fucking dick. Like, you keep doing shitty things that are abusive. Like, that's why people don't like you. But like, I don't even know if the show fully realizes just, like, I can't tell if they realize just what a fucking shitty human being he is. Like, I don't know. I don't know. What do you think, like, about that? I can't tell if, like, what the show thinks about him or not.
I mean, it's from a TV show, from like a TV writing standpoint, and I'm not a screen nerd, I'm not an expert, but we watch a lot of TV.
Yeah.
The situation was very contrived. Like I just figured, once they got put in the truck together and I don't like you, you should date me. I was like, okay, cool. And then they find an abandoned cabin in the friggin' wilderness and it's all beautiful and everything. And I'm like, they're going to get together by the end of this episode. And what happened? They got together by the end of the episode.
Sort of, but not really.
Sort of. No, not really. But they, like,
I mean, she's still mad. Right, but that means, like, literally nothing.
Right. That's
like,
just
they've
physical
had
things.
sex before, so it doesn't
Sure.
seem very, like, and also, like, it's a terrifying situation, so you're not really thinking straight, like, because you're in a very scary situation, and that's, like, a way of feeling comforted in, like, a situation that's really, like, uncontrollable and terrifying, so, like, that's kind of how I read it as what was going on, but then, like, but that shouldn't have meant they were gonna get back together, because Max is an asshole, put her in danger for no good reason, and then his, like, heroic thing is to, and this is the end of the episode, the final episode we watched, is to be like, you learned how to row when we were escaping because he hurts his shoulder so he can't row, and I was like, oh my god, he's teaching her how to row, this is gonna be so fucking stupid. And then like in the last scene, like she has to go back and she has to row, and then she's going to be stuck in the middle of the forest where she has no idea where she is. There's a truck is what brought her there, so she has no phone, like, and he is apparently the hero because also an assassin who seems to be able to like get around the forest very easily and has eyes and is apparently looking like for her, because why would she even be there in the first place if the assassin wasn't truly looking for both of them? Because if he wasn't, then she could have just left in the beginning. So now she's like running away from an assassin. She's blind. She has to row a fucking boat to get to the other side of a giant ass like lake, and then she's in the middle of the forest in like a place that was driven up to, and she has to figure out a way back home without a phone or anyone other than an assassin in the area.
And I mean, she's got her guide dog, but still.
Yeah, that's true. But that still, it seems like the guide dog can help like her not fall on things, maybe. But like still not very helpful in like truly finding actual safety. And it's the middle of the night also, so add that on. So like truly the most horrible thing you could do to someone. I'm like, I don't even know if it's what, because he's like, well, this is just my fight to fight now. And I'm like, why did you not do that 24 hours ago? Like, why is it your fight to fight when you have taken her to the middle of nowhere and are forcing her to just find her way back, and you drove her here, like, so she can't drive back. Like, it's not like she could retrace her steps even. Like, oh my god. Oh my gosh, I was so mad.
So I mean, they're either gonna get back together, or she's really honestly gonna be like, fuck off, I never want to see you again.
If she's not done with him after that, I will be so mad at this TV show, because that's just like, I mean, unless they're gonna, I mean, this show isn't Jessica Jones. What? That's the name of it. I don't know. She's such a normal name. I always doubt myself when I say it. Like, it's not gonna be a show. It's not a show about an abusive person, and that's the main crux of the story. But like, to have the main character be in such an abusive relationship is like really hard to watch. I don't want to watch her. Like, I really just want Max out. I hope the assassin finds him and kills him, because fuck him.
Oh.
I mean, I don't know. I don't, like, what's salvageable about Max at this point?
I mean, I don't like him very much, but I don't know if I necessarily want to see him die.
I mean, we wouldn't see him die, because who's around? Just Murphy.
Right. Just Murphy. Sorry. I guess I don't know if I want him to die. Yeah, I mean, maybe he's gonna, because we heard gunshots, and then it cuts to black.
Right. That's the end of the episode.
Either he got shot or he shot the assassin, and it
because
sounded
he has a gun,
like a big gun. Yeah, it sounded like a hunting rifle. So I'm pretty sure Max shot the guy.
That's my guess too. So we're probably gonna have to like have him come back. But I just really hope Murphy is done with him at this point, because I'm just so like, I'm so tired of him. I want her to have a better love interest, and we don't have a love interest character that's not abusive. I think it's just sad. Like, I don't like seeing blind characters be in abusive relationships. Like, it's just, we have so few of them, especially like we have so few blind female characters. Like, that is such a rare occurrence, and to have the whole TV show centered around her, and for her to have some capabilities, I wish she was a little bit more of like we have a lot of characters that are very like kind people, so I wish she was a little bit more on, not kind is not really the right word, but I wish she was a little bit more like capable, and that people weren't always like mad at her for like taking advantage of them in a way that always feels like, oh, this is like every blind person's nightmare to be this person, you know. It just feels like stressful. But like, I just want her to be in like a healthy relationship. Like, it would just be so nice to see that. Like, I want that.
Right, everybody on this show deserves to be loved. They deserve to be in a healthy relationship.
Yeah, and it's hard watching. Like, I think it's also just like we have a blind main character, and we're just watching her being like abused by this guy in a way that it doesn't always feel like he's getting truly called out for his shit. Like, I feel like there's a lot of just putting up with it, and that he also can get away with like treating her badly in a way that always feels like the show is sort of justified, like feeling like it's justified. Like, you never feel entirely like the show like really realizes how abusive he is. Like, there's just a lot of right.
from a TV writing perspective, shows like this live on this like will they won't they dynamic.
Yeah, it's
And
just so stupid.
It happened, you know, after that's over and they either get together or they don't, the show has to find something else to do. I mean, and it might go on and it might not. I mean, there's cases where the two main characters, it's will they, won't they, and then they get together and the show tanks. Or it's will they, won't they, and they get together and the show goes on for another, 17 seasons, i.e. Grey's Anatomy. But most of the original cast has left that show, so the main character isn't even together with that other person anymore. So that was a shitty example, but
well, I mean, I think that's it's just so frustrating to me. I mean, I really love television a lot. Like, I'm a big proponent of TV, and I think I really do love it as a medium, but I get so frustrated because I don't think we need this. That's why, like, things like Michael Schur's shows where you have characters that, like, are in committed relationships and that instead of, like, doing the back and forth, like, like The Good Place and Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Parks and Rec are all very beloved shows. Like, all it does is it demonstrates like love interests just wind up being weirdly abusive, and like their relationships are super unhealthy. So we don't have a lot of good examples of relationships, and I feel like television has some capacity to model behavior that is aspirational, in a way. And I think that, like, it's frustrating to me to see all these unhealthy relationships on television when it's like, you really don't need that. Like, it doesn't, like, you don't need that for the drama. It's just frustrating to watch. And I don't find it, like, fun. It's just like, if I think two characters are gonna have a good relationship, it would be fun to watch them together. I don't want to see them constantly being broken up. And, like, that's just so frustrating. And I'd rather just, like, see them as a couple and then want to, like, just root for them as a couple, and then have the TV show also trying to root for them as a couple, because it also means the characters have to be, like, nicer, is a weird word, but, like, they have to be, like, good people who are willing to, like, be in a healthy relationship, and, like, so you also get characters that are more fun to watch, like, and I don't know, I've just gotten kind of disillusioned by the weird relationship things where to keep constantly, like, break them up. I mean, it's always frustrated me, but, like, it's just especially frustrating when you have to have these, like, fucked up, like, these characters are just assholes. It's like, I don't want to see a character in a relationship with a shitty guy and then, like, for the show to just be like, ooh, that's so we can make it will they, won't they, and I'm like, I don't want that either. Like, I want to see, like, a healthy relationship, and if you have a blind character that's, like, the main character, I don't want to see them in an abusive relationship, especially when you know that the TV writers could write a character that's not an asshole. Like, they're like Jess or like, and even with Felix, the way they're developing him, and like Chloe, and you have all these characters that are very, like, kind people. So you know that there are people on the staff who at least are able to write a good character, a kind person.
Right. Even Dean.
Yeah, Dean, who's like
he's
sometimes
trying
weird,
to do the right
but
thing.
Yeah, but you can kind of
weird, but he
seems real enough, and he's not like, he's a cop, so whatever. No, but he's like, his character flaws are not they don't feel as, like, shitty. Like, his flaws are just that he's kind of like, he's somewhat sincere in a way that could be a problem for him, and, like, he's a little, like, he sort of thinks Murphy is interested in him, which I don't even know why he wants to date Murphy. I don't understand that whole thing, but whatever. But he's likable. He's a likable person. There's a lot of likable characters. Chelsea, the bartender, is a very likable character, I think. Like, they can write likable characters. It's just they don't seem to want to have, like, a steady and then they manufacture the drama with Chelsea and Dean also. Like, because Dean is like, thinks he likes Murphy, except for, I don't even know why he does. He thinks that, because they don't really have a real, like, Murphy just likes Chloe, like, and I feel like that he keeps getting confused by that, and it's just, I don't know, it makes me sad, because I'm just like, oh, but he can, because, like, Dean's, like, daughter is, they have a mentor-mentee relationship, and so that's why Murphy wants to hang out, and I wish that he, like, sort of understood that better, and that, because he and Chelsea make more sense as a couple anyway.
Yes, I agree. I'm like, I think that Chloe and Murphy can have that relationship. I don't necessarily think that Murphy should be pushed on Dean, because you're right. I actually really like Dean and Chelsea as a couple. I think they're super cute. And
because they're both like somewhat likable characters, unlike a lot of the other couples.
yeah. And but it's sweet and kind of icky to see like Chloe really push hard, especially on movie night. Like, stay for movie night. Why don't you just stay? You know, and she really, 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 really wants them to be together.
Though I think she sort of does, but I feel like she really just wants Murphy around, because we see that she's like, when Chelsea sleeps over, she's like, Dad, you're allowed to have, like, I think she wants her dad to move on, and she also just wants to be friends with Murphy. Like, that I think is her like what she wants. So I feel like if Chelsea was dating Dean and Murphy was hanging out all the time, then Chloe would be absolutely happy with that, like it was just like, I think it's just she wants, because her mom died in the car accident and made her blind, because everyone goes blind in a car accident. That was from the pilot, basically, that we find that out. But just to recap, so like part of Chloe's character is wanting her dad Dean to move on to have find love somewhere else as well. That's part of her whole bit. But she also just likes Murphy because they're like have a blind mentor-mentee relationship that's very sweet. So I don't know. I think that I just don't think Murphy needs to date Dean. I don't think was Murphy ever interested in Dean that much?
Maybe in the beginning, but I don't think so now.
I feel like she just always wanted to solve Tyson's murder, and then Dean just always interpreted that as Murphy liking him.
Oh, you like me. Yeah.
Right.
You want to spend time with me, and you have boobs?
Yeah, exactly. Which is just like, it feels unnecessary to me. I'm just like, come on. Like, they don't.
But there again, it's the trope. Does she want Max, the bad boy, or does she want, Dean, the really nice guy with a kid?
Neither of them make any sense for relationships. And they both are like weird about it, and she doesn't even seem to like either of them. And like, it's just like, she could have a character. I just want to see a character that, like, I don't know, that she actually wants to be with and like feels motivated to be with, because she doesn't really I feel like the only times Max wins her over is like through aggression of like being just unrelenting about like, date me, go out with me, like, stop being mad at me. Like, he's just such a dick and such he's a shitty person, and it's really just the only thing that he does is wear Murphy down, and like, that is not fun. That's not a fun bad boy.
Right.
It's not a bad boy that's only sweet for Murphy, because he's never sweet to Murphy. He's always shitty to her and mean to her unnecessarily, and like always gets mad at her for like being blind half the time, and then he like doesn't really care about like just, I don't know, he doesn't have like a healthy there's just nothing healthy about the relationship at all.
But Sky, he bought her a padded coffee table.
Right. Well, I guess he does. And he also Googled how to like help a blind person be in a new space. So it's all you need. And that's really, actually, just speaking from personal experience, that's it. That's really the only thing to a happy relationship that I've found.
Perfect.
Is like, as long as you can date someone who has Googled introducing a blind person to a new space, and that they're willing to, after fucking that up and making you bump into a coffee table, are willing to then go buy you another coffee table that is padded. Which, like, instead of just, you could just learn where the coffee table is, like blind people always do, and then you hit it twice, or maybe just once, and then you don't hit it again because you learn where it is in the room. So completely unnecessary. You didn't need to do that. But I don't know. I guess she's gonna keep bumping into it. But don't you know where things are? Isn't that why you want to stay in the same space? Because once you learn a space, you don't bump into things as much anymore. Whatever.
Yeah. Oh God. At least the show is easier to talk about than C.
Yeah.
Not saying that C isn't fun to talk about, because it is, but this show, compared to that show, is like, oh my God, just light and breezy, and just like, we're we're dealing with a murder, but still.
Yeah, it's very, I mean, it is a fun show to watch. This is definitely something, like, after that cliffhanger, though, as much as I was so mad at Max for being a piece of shit, I was like, oh my god, I need to know. Like, I was like, wow, I can't believe we stopped at this episode, because it's
I know.
fucking, like...
I'm probably going to spend the rest of the day, because it's like, we got 3 more left, so I'm probably going to spend the rest of the day watching those 3, because I have to know.
Yeah, because next week, that's what we're doing. And since we are next week doing the final 3 episodes, we can also transition into our Blind Acuity. But before we do that, who do you think killed Tyson? Calling it, we got to call it now. We haven't looked up any spoilers, so unless you have. Have you?
Yeah, I have not.
Okay,
no,
so neither of us have looked it up.
I've kept myself in the dark on purpose.
Did you make that joke on purpose as well?
Yes,
okay.
I did. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you for acknowledging my comedy.
Yes. So what do you think? Who do you think killed Tyson?
Oh wow. I mean, I know Wesley didn't kill him.
Yeah.
And I knew that. I mean, I know it. I felt it. Wesley didn't kill. Wesley's a pawn, so obviously Wesley didn't kill Tyson. I don't want it to be Darnell.
Though we find out 2 people killed him, so Wesley could have still killed him.
Sure. And we have Darnell's DNA all over the car. So, well, we find out that he was shot and strangled. Yeah. So, yeah. And Wesley's handprints don't match the handprints on Tyson.
Right.
So, right.
But Darnell's don't either, right? Or
no. But Darnell could have shot him. So, God, I don't know. I feel like we haven't met the person that's killed Tyson yet.
Okay. Would it be a cop-out?
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, I think that's just too obvious. I think Darnell is too obvious, and Wesley's
it's definitely not Darnell.
So, no.
Well, if it's 2 people, I think one of them could be Wesley theoretically, because making it 2 people just extends the mystery. Because that way we kind of like have that half of it has been sort of solved, but then because it's like they were shot and strangled, so there has to be some reason that there was both. So it could be that it was one person, but it's still, you have to sort of explain the 2, why it seems like 2 people killed him. So I think that it's definitely possible that Wesley was just one of the people, because then it's still a mystery. They didn't solve the mystery by getting rid of Wesley, and thinking that he was the one who shot Tyson, I think, because they think he was the one who shot, and then the theory is that Darnell strangled him. I don't know. I can't fully keep track of what the theory is. So here's I'm gonna do a real curveball just through this is, I don't really know if it makes sense, but it's just through like narrative process of elimination on how which characters that we know well enough that seem the most likely to be involved. So that would also be very surprising. So here's my guess is Jules. That's who I think killed Tyson.
Oh my God, I love it.
Because she's sleeping with Darnell, so obviously someone involved. Every time that she, like, during the investigation, she's been very cagey about, like, she was the one who didn't want to believe Murphy that Tyson was even dead, and then she makes the statement, they go into the, like, outside in the alleyway where Murphy found Tyson's body, and it's disappeared. And at that point, Jules knew that like this was going on. She's a cop, so she has more ability to like know this stuff, and she's always been very like seems to be getting involved in the investigation in ways that are inappropriate. And we say like, okay, well, she's probably doing that because of Darnell, but you can easily just like hide other reasons that she would be getting, like, because she already has motivation to be like not acting fully as a cop. And so I think that like the fact that she's sleeping with Darnell is a way of like kind of hiding weird behavior that she's been doing throughout the season and making it explainable by the fact that she's dating Darnell. But I think she killed Tyson. I don't know what the motive is yet, but I think it probably has to do with Darnell somehow. It would be my guess, but I don't think and I think that Darnell does not know like that she killed Tyson. That is my guess, because I really don't think Darnell is involved at all. He just doesn't seem like he knows anything to me.
This actually makes a lot of sense. I'm on board. I totally buy this. Because this reminds me a lot of another police show, police procedural called Broadchurch, which is really great. Unfortunately, it doesn't involve a disabled main character, but the ending, like the twist, feels really satisfying, and it doesn't necessarily come out of nowhere, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, you gotta have it's a classic. You gotta look at all the characters that, like, first of all, have never been like suspected of the crime, because it can't be someone we've already suspected. Those are all red herrings.
Right. I absolutely 100% buy Jules.
Yes, we'll see.
It was a crime of passion. She did it to keep Darnell safe.
Yeah, that's gonna be, I think something like that, or because it could be that Tyson was going to do something that would have put Darnell in trouble, and because that could totally be true. Given like we could definitely get some more information on what happened to set up that scenario. So this is my guess. We'll see. I'm just gonna be totally wrong. It's gonna be Dean, probably. No.
No.
I'm sure it's not Dean.
Oh my god.
But yeah, so that's my guess. I feel like of all the characters that have never been suspected but have acted very shady and also like could potentially be connected, but also you're just not really thinking could be involved, that's my best guess. So we'll see if I'm right or not. But
I like it. It's much better than mine, because mine is just I don't know, maybe it's funny. I work for a murder mystery company, and I'm shit at solving these things. I just don't.
That's so funny. Well, I mean, I just can do it in a TV show, because I don't even know if I've solved it or not. It could be totally wrong. Definitely a possibility. And though I will release this episode after we have watched the 3 episodes. So when I'm editing this, we will have already found out who it is, but I'm not going to take this out if I'm wrong. Just saying that now. But
good.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen In the Dark and you feel like you're like, I don't need to see it, but I do want to listen to the episodes, then just know I could totally be wrong at this point. But you're going to have to wait till next week to find out if I'm wrong or not. So I'm excited to find out. I'm more excited to see how this all goes than with C, just because I think that they at least have some sort of, like, I feel like in a murder mystery show you kind of have to, like, also just from the beginning of the season you have to know who did it. Like, you just have to, like, you can't get away with not knowing. So I think that's why I'm more excited to find out who done it at the end of these 3 and how Murphy gets to safety. I don't know. I like this. I think we like this show from the beginning. I think there was definitely, we both, I think, had specific things that we were unsure of for the show, but I feel like it's grown on me a little bit too.
Yeah. I think we started out kind of lukewarm on this show just because we weren't really on board with Murphy. Yet. And we're like, wow, this show is about her and we have to spend all this time with her. But she's grown on me. Like, the cast has grown on me. Everybody is just really likable and charismatic. And I mean, from an acting standpoint, I just enjoy watching them do what they do. It's effortless. It's really great. It's, this show, I'm not going to put this show down as, like, an American classic or whatever, but I am enjoying myself. It is a really nice little show that you can sit down and curl up with and just watch.
Yeah. I think, like, with Murphy, I feel like they've really gotten to make her not as, like, unlikable and self-destructive. I feel like a lot of shows go through this where, like, I feel like in TV there's a weird push to, like, make main characters unlikable, which I also don't understand. It's another thing that bugs me. But, like,
they're the anti-hero,
right? And then they're like, and they create their own problems, which I'm like, you have a blind you have a blind female character as your lead. They do not need to create problems. Like, they truly do not. Like, they're like, the world creates the problems. Like, blind people do not create their own problems. We just are given a bunch of problems to begin with, and we have to figure out what to do with them. Like, you definitely do not need her to fuck up to add drama. Like, being a blind person in a sighted world is just dramatic because you have to deal with a bunch of bullshit. Like, and so it just never seemed necessary to me to make her, like, creating problems, because I'm like, it's compelling enough to watch. Like, it's even more compelling to watch a character that's not creating their own problems, but is just trying their best to, like, figure shit out when problems arise. Like, that's and I think for us it would be way more interesting to watch too, because we would just, like, there are, like, what's the right word, transcendent scenes where, like, with the police, like arresting Murphy, and, like, there's those moments that we've had where it's just like, oh my gosh, like, we feel it so much because the world has, like, fucked her over in a certain situation, and it's, like, way more, like, catching, you know, it feels just way more, like, engaging than when she's messing things up. So I just don't understand why you would tell TV writers that she needs to mess things up. But I think as the show has gone on, they've I feel like sometimes they get more leeway later on in the season. I don't know what happens, but sometimes you'll have, like, unlikable characters, and probably people are like, I don't like them, why are they unlikable? And then the writers are like, okay, we need to make them more likable. But I like to watch Murphy not be so self-destructive. It's like, it's really hard to watch her when she's so self-destructive. It's just sad. Like, it's just a bummer. So I'm glad.
Maybe, I mean, this must have been the writers, plan all along. Your main character has to start somewhere, and then they have to grow. Right.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I hope that I think she's grown to a point now where she's, like, easier to watch, definitely. Like, you start, even though I want to see her grow more, I still feel like we're at a point where we can empathize with her a lot more. Like, it doesn't feel like she's just unnecessarily creating problems anymore, so that's good. But we'll see what happens in the final 3 episodes of the season, and then we'll have to actually come back to the show because it does have a completed second season, I believe. So
yes, yeah, it's on. Yep, it's on Netflix.
CW does they release the shows a bit more than the streaming platforms where they just kind of come out randomly, but on actual TV, they just do a season a year. It's very uniform on how that works. Okay, well, do you want to do our blindness cutie for episodes 7 through 10 of In the Dark?
Sure. Yeah, let's do it.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah. Let's see. I'm sitting at it's my usual 2100.
Nice.
I wish I could give it a higher rating, but Murphy's not played by a blind actor.
Yeah.
But I do find myself really sinking in and almost forgetting that Murphy's played by a sighted actor.
Yeah.
I think she's really just come into this character and can really slip into it and just inhabits Murphy.
Yeah.
Very well. That was a bunch of weird words. Anyway. Yeah.
No, I hear you.
Yeah. And I mean, anytime we get to spend time with Chloe is wonderful. I'm very happy. I would watch the Chloe and Murphy show all day. It's great.
Yeah, that definitely is the best. If we could pick any 2 characters, I mean, I do love watching Jess and Felix, actually. Those would be the 2 shows we would watch. That would be our A and B plot, would be Chloe Murphy, and then just Jess and Felix. That would be a fun dynamics. Yeah.
And it's just I mean, some of the stuff is played up for drama, and I feel like it's a little unbelievable, especially in the last episode of this match with the chase and everything. And I'm just like, oh God. But I really like the fact that, Murphy keeps acknowledging the fact that she's blind. He's like, run. And she's like, where? I can't run.
Right.
And it isn't just, okay, we're in this dramatic situation. Okay, great. Well, she's going to be awesome, and she's just going to, you know, run through the forest and get away really easily and everything. But that's not how it works.
Yeah. Right. It's believable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I really enjoyed Jess and Felix in these batch of episodes. I just enjoyed this weird, even when Darnell and all of them were teaching Jess how to lie. Like I just enjoy this really weird camaraderie between this group of people.
Yeah. I love when shows are able to do that.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is so wrong. It's so illegal, and yet I'm like, go, Jess, go. Learn how to lie. Let's go. Let's do it.
She barely lies, though. What she says is almost entirely the truth, and it's very it's already an emotional thing that she like.
She just leaves out like 3 kind of important details, but still, So 2100. I'm quite enjoying myself. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, this is a rare time in that I'm going to give it a 2150. I'm going to give it a higher rating than you.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. I have really like I was just saying, it's definitely grown on me as the show has gone along. I think that like, I mean, we've also said this in other episodes, but like having a couple blind writers on the staff is super matters a lot. Like you can totally tell. And like having, even though, we only have one of the 2 blind characters are actually played by a blind person, that's still better odds than most everything else we watch. And the fact that we do, like, that Chloe is not, you know, it's not like C where the blind actors are so sidelined and don't get to be, even though that is a big cast and Chloe is still not like one of the, 4 main characters or whatever. She still gets stuff to do, and we still really, like, I think the show is really happy to develop her as a character, and their friendship is just so awesome. Like, we've just never seen anything. I don't think we've seen anything like that on this podcast at all. Like, just that, which is, I mean, obviously we feel very, I think, we're 2 blind people who, like, even though there's not an age difference, but like the communal aspect of it, like the fact that they both find community, and also, like, for me, the idea of like getting to hang out with like a younger blind person also and being kind of a mentor, it just seems like such a sweet relationship, and I like would want to be on both sides of that relationship, like that is just a sweet thing in general, and just so cool to see. And that and then we also have 2 blind characters that are both that both identify as female, and that's also weirdly rare in the things we watch. So having that like be such a big part of the show, and having just the real attention to detail of like what like are actual things that blind people deal with, as opposed to like the tropey stuff. Like even though sometimes things are unbelievable in the show, they're still weirdly not as tropey. Like, they're just unbelievable because it's like TV logic, but they're not unbelievable and like, this isn't what a blind person would do. Like, it really feels like the blind writers had enough say to be like, hey, this is not what a blind person would do. And like, so it doesn't fall into the traps that so much of the stuff that we watch does. Because like, we don't really watch anything. This is like the only thing we get to watch with blind writers. So like, it's really like refreshing to get to see that it really just feels like a blind person is behind the scenes, and like making sure that like things are not getting in there that are like dumb or completely ridiculous. It's nice.
Still one of those. It's nice to watch a show to be like, and look at characters and be like, oh my god, I go through that. I do that.
Yeah,
that happens to me. Oh wow, somebody, you feel seen.
Yeah, because it's so few, like, oh my god, so little like things that we watch, do you really see any of yourself in there? And so to have that, like, to really feel for the characters in a way where you can empathize with them, and I think that like, I hope I can keep giving it higher ratings too, because I think that like, as we get more of like Murphy becomes a more, relatable and like just likable character, like I think that the show will only get stronger with that. I think that like I want to see her become like more competent with like what tools she has. Like I want to see that development happen with her, so that we can kind of like we're definitely not at a point where she's aspirational, and I would love for her to get kind of make its way slowly over to that side. That would be really cool. But yeah, and it's just like I think the show unlike C also. Sorry, C. I'm just gonna really the two TV
really
shows we're watching.
Dumping on
I
C.
know, and I do it during the C episodes as well. So I'm sorry it's leaking out into all the other episodes now apparently. But I think that like in the dark you have likable characters. You have characters that are like truly just good people that are doing their best, and that's really awesome to see because I think that's I just like that. I like seeing characters that are not like that are, even though we say Saint Jess, but like you also like see her realness, like that they aren't, that there isn't like a sense of like, oh well, this person is just like perfect human being, like, and written by someone who doesn't understand what like actually trying to be a good person would look like they're just like kind of being weirdly making it up, whereas like the characters that are good people in the show feel very real. They feel like real people. Like, and I like that.
They even, they make their own mistakes too. And I mean, and I love, especially in these episodes, I noticed the little editing cutaway gags. Like I'm a sucker for some funny editing. We're the bit in the hotel where, we're in this intense like drug bust and Max and Murphy are fighting but they keep cutting back to friggin' Jess and Felix drinking Mai Tais in the pool. Yeah. And it's just like, oh my God, I love this. And then the bit where they go back to get the watch out of the dumpster, and of course Felix has taken all the trash out, and Murphy's like, well, I guess we have to go to the dump, and it's just cut to them in piles of trash, and Murphy is like, so do you see
it? Yeah, they're so good.
I love it. I'm a sucker for stuff like that.
It's a fun show. I'm excited. And I'm excited to find out who killed Tyson. I'm also interested for season 2 as well to see like
what are they gonna do?
Yeah, because like I hope they solve Tyson's murder at the end of the season. I guess they could technically not do that. We don't know for sure, but you would hope they would do that. But I'm interested to know how they turn it into a second season, because like you have Murphy's just so because I of course think of Veronica Mars, and like it's Veronica Mars, at least there's some window, like even though she's so emotionally driven in the first season to solve the mystery, by the second season like she's still like the entire time she's working partly as a PI, and her dad's a PI, so she's like so there's also this kind of like identity attached to it, whereas with Murphy it's like really so emotionally driven, like she just wants to know who killed Tyson and that's really it. So it'd be I'm interested to know how they like do that, or if they're gonna have to kill someone else off,
what is it going to be like for Murphy, right, after this purpose that has been driving her is no longer there?
Yeah.
I mean, can she go back to life and assimilate and, just be herself or whatever? Or is she going to need something more?
Right. Which, I mean, like, yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm interested. It could go a lot of different ways. I mean, it's not an easy transition, so they also could mess it up, because it seems like it will be a hard transition into the second season to figure out how to carry it. But I'm interested to see what they do. I'm sure it's gonna end on some like big cliffhanger or something. There's gonna maybe, I don't know. We'll find out. But yeah, I'm looking forward to continuing to watch the show, and I am excited that we're just doing. I think it's a good idea to just do these 2 in a row, because I'm just like, oh gosh, we're on the home stretch. I want to know what happens.
Oh, I know. Yeah. No, I definitely don't want to stop. Let's go. Let's finish this.
Yes. So this is In the Dark. If you haven't watched the episodes up to now, but as we've started to like the show more, you want to catch up on them. We're going to be finishing up next week, so catch up quickly. And if I hope people listen to these even if they aren't as interested in the show, because I think that they are. There's a lot to talk about with the show, and yeah, I hope that we did a better job at recapping everything, because I was like, oh, we didn't do a good enough job last time. So yeah. But this next week we won't have to do that, because they'll be right in a row, so no one will have forgotten. Yeah, so tune in next week. It'll be fun. Okay, what we said what we're doing next. just by happenstance. So what
Yes.
are we blindsided by this week? Melissa, do you want to go first?
Oh my gosh, yes. So I actually have a lot of choices to pick from. I've just been
Ooh.
on a roll. I've seen a lot of new stuff, and that's been really cool. But I think the one I'm gonna go with, and this is such a hard choice because there's two that I really want to talk about. But I think the one that I'm gonna go with is Wolfwalkers.
Oh, I don't know what this is.
Great. Okay, so it is an animated movie by the animation studio Cartoon Saloon. They're an
Ooh.
Irish-based animation studio, and they happened onto the scene with their first film, which was the Secret of Kells, which is
Sounds familiar.
amazing. It's so beautiful. The acting, the animation, the music. I mean, it's perfect. So, and they focus on two different types of things: historical fiction, or telling of true stories, or Irish mythology.
Ooh.
And this movie focuses more on it's kind of sort of both, but it's mostly Irish mythology, which I don't know a lot about. So it's really fun to like learn about these stories that I don't know much about. So the film is about a group of people called Wolfwalkers. They're human by day and wolves by night.
Ooh.
And they're Irish. And these people from England come over. This is way back when Ireland was being when the English were coming to Ireland, and they build a town in the Wolfwalkers woods, and they proceed to cut down trees, and they want to get rid of the Wolfwalkers in the forest because they're tired of the wolves stealing their sheep. So it's a story about learning to coexist with people who are different than you. Robin and Maeve are the two main girls. They're the main characters. Robin is from the village and Maeve is a Wolfwalker.
Oh,
And they meet, and it's a story about learning how to check your prejudices at the door and learn about someone else's culture and learn things that you don't know, and experience things that you don't know. I don't want to go too much into it because I really don't want to give away spoilers because it's just glorious. It is on Apple TV Plus. There is audio description that goes with it. But I mean, I love Cartoon Saloon's animation style. It's just so symmetrical when it wants to be, and simple but really complicated. It's really good. Any of their films, any of their films are great. The Book of Kells, Song of the Sea, and The Breadwinner are their other films. But
nice.
Gosh, this film is really great, and it's beautiful. It was just so much fun to watch. So Wolfwalkers on Apple TV Plus.
That sounds really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. This my. Do you like what my input there was? That it sounds very cool.
Perfect.
Thank you. The thing that I am blindsided by this week is the Netflix TV show version of Song Exploder, which originally is a podcast hosted by Rishikesh Hirway. It's a great podcast, so it's also like a cool thing to check out as a podcast. But recently he did a deal with Netflix to do a TV show version of it, so they're like 30-minute episodes. I hadn't seen the first season, but the second season had they did The Killers and 9 Inch Nails and Dua Lipa. They got all of them. What they did, it's the podcast is basically it's sort of an interview, but it's really mostly just the musicians talking about a song, and they really piece out the song and talk about each different, they get the stems and they'll listen to the different tracks and talk about the process of making it. And so sometimes it's more about where they were, the lyrics and what the lyrics are representing, and then there's also a lot of technical stuff about how the music was made, and so it's usually a combination of both of those things. And it was just really also interesting watching all 4 episodes of the second season and seeing the different artistic processes between all of them. It was really, it kind of I think they were well curated too, to show you like kind of the different ways, because you had like, you know, I mean, you have Trent Reznor, who's just like, a lot of it is like being in a basement as a kid and like it's kind of feeling isolated, and the Killers, who are just like very sincere and like and just kind of, you know, like this like kind of working class hometown band that like just accidentally kind of really made it big, and like, and it's really funny. They're very, very funny and sincere. And then Dua Lipa is also like was, you know, it's like almost kind of like Gen Z, kind of like that has this like large, all these people like kind of pop star, you know, like people working with her to come up with things, and it's like super collaborative. And but she is the, you know, the person singing. And the fourth one is Natalia Lafourcade. I'm totally pronouncing that wrong. But she's like a giant pop star in Mexico, and and kind of was talking about her like childhood, being like, I think she's the her parents were also like performers that she like made it big when she was 17. It's also like really bizarre how many of them become big when they're like kids, basically. Is also almost, I don't know, kind of makes me sad like that they all became famous so young. Just that like you want, but I think it was cool to see also they were different ages too. And there's also in the first season they had REM, and so we watched that episode as well, because Conrad was showing me them, and that episode is great because they're like much older than even all the people in the second season, basically. And so it was kind of sweet because they're not even a band anymore, but they were like, yeah, we're still all friends. And it was like, it was nice. It was fun to like see kind of their like see older musicians, and it made me feel better because I was like, oh, they were all so young when they became famous. That's gotta like fuck you up. But like, even though REM became famous when they were very young, in some ways they like seem pretty well adjusted in the end. So anyway, Song Exploder, it's Netflix. It's a Netflix original. It does have audio descriptions, though the one thing is you basically have to turn them off, because part of the podcast of Song Exploder is at the end they'll play the song. So the thing is, they've like made these little sort of like animated videos for or some of them are animated, some of them are just like little shots of things for each song, but the audio descriptions will describe the video, and so you don't get to hear the song.
Yeah.
And so it's so annoying. So we had to like turn off the audio descriptions just for the song and then turn them back on, because they're not bad before the song. It's just once the song starts, it's annoying to have the audio descriptions on. But yeah, so that being the only caveat, it's it is audio described, and it's a fun show. And if you really want to know what's happening in the music video, then you can always just keep them on for the song if that's more important to you. But yeah, so that's Song Splitter.
That's so cool. I have a show that would pair really well with that on Netflix. The History of Swear Words with Nicolas Cage.
I saw that, and it was funny because just last week I was talking about a book about swearing. So swearing.
Yeah, which I did get the audiobook version of, and I started reading it. It's awesome, and a lot of the evidence in that book is parroted in this show, which is really cool.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
It was so weird.
It's just one season so far, and each episode focuses on a swear word. And of course, the first one's about fuck. So it's just really fun to watch. You know, you learn a lot, but you also get to watch Nicolas Cage say fuck for like 30 minutes. And that man knows how to say that word. Just saying.
Nice.
Anyway.
That's
also on Netflix.
I should check that out. I've been down a linguistic rabbit hole, which I'm gonna bring another book, so stay tuned for that probably next week.
Perfect.
But we'll just go on, like, everything will be about curse words for like a month. Everything we suggest, just a really weird random obsession, cults, and then curse words. Okay, I think that's it. I think we're gonna come back to In the Dark next week. So you know, this is basically a two-parter. It's a two-part finale. So tune in next week for the second part. To be continued. Our theme song is by Lucia Fasano. Our YouTube is Citizen White Cane Podcast. Our Twitter is White Cane Pod. Our Instagram and our Facebook are both Citizen White Cane. Our email is citizenwhitecanepod@gmail.com. If you'd like to leave us a voice message, there's a link in the show notes. Who do you think killed Tyson?
Yeah, I don't have anything else.
Okay.
Who do you think killed Tyson?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
Get it in this week before you find out, unless you've already watched the show. And if you've already watched the show, luckily we've already finished it, so you can leave us a voice message with spoilers at the point of season 1 only, please. At the point of the recording.
And if you've never watched the show, just tell us, who do you think killed Tyson?
Yeah, and
there
especially
are no answers here.
Especially if you've seen none of the episodes, because it would be really interesting just from like if you had like a really cool theory just based on what we've said. I would love to hear that. So yeah, there's a link in the show notes. Rate the podcast review, subscribe, and come back next week where we're gonna finish up In the Dark. I'm very excited. We'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.
Citizen White Cane.
Hashtag love is love. Hashtag 7 months. Hashtag anniversary. Hashtag Jess and Vanessa. Hashtag my love. Hashtag my heart. Hashtag together. Hashtag goals.
Jess's eyes shift in solemn thought.
I cheated on you.